I stood rooted to the spot, my heart pounding as my gleaming red Ferrari crumpled under the merciless jaws of a demolition crane. 8 years of relentless hustle scraping by on ramen, working unpaid overtime, and dreaming of roaring down the Pacific Coast Highway reduced to a $400,000 pile of twisted metal in mere minutes. Evelyn Hart, the HOA president of Willow Grove Estates, stood nearby, her lips twisting into a venomous smirk. "This is what happens when you defy parking rules, Mr. Bennett," she sneered, jabbing a finger at me like I was a naughty child. That car wasn't just metal and leather. It was my blood, my sweat, my ambition. But Evelyn had no clue she'd just awakened a sleeping giant. "I'm a hydraulic engineer, the one who designed the water system that keeps this upscale neighborhood's artificial emerald lake from turning into a swamp. And I just remembered a critical detail. The drainage easements for those $10 million lakefront mansions, including hers, ran straight through my property." The memory of my first visit to the Ferrari dealership in Beverly Hills seared my mind as I watched the crusher finish its work. At 24, in a threadbare polo, I was dismissed by a slick salesman who barely spared me a glance. "I'll be back," I vowed. 8 years later, I returned with $400,000 in cash, and that same salesman practically groveled. Now, Evelyn's gleeful iPhone video of my car's destruction, posted to the neighborhood's private Facebook group with the caption, "Standards define elite communities," mocked everything I'd fought for. Willow Grove wasn't just any gated enclave. Built in 1989 around Emerald Lake, its 45 luxury homes included 8 lakefront estates worth $5 to $10 million each. HOA fees were a steep $2,800 a month, and Evelyn, president for 4 years, had driven out 10 families with her relentless bullying. My crime: washing my Ferrari 6 feet from my garage at 9:15 a.m. on a Sunday, perfectly legal by any reasonable standard. But Evelyn swooped in with a city tow crew, citing a new rule buried in HOA records, added 3 weeks earlier without notice. Vehicles worth over $250,000 couldn't be visible in public areas from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. on weekends. The crusher, hired for $1,500, turned my dream into a 3-foot cube in 4 minutes. Its 2,500 psi hydraulic force obliterating everything. I didn't cry. Instead, my dad's words echoed. "A man's car tells his story, son. What's yours gonna say?" Now, my story was scrap. But as I walked away, my engineer's brain clocked Evelyn's mansion water meter ticking at 920 gallons per day, 350% over residential limits. A licensed water engineer never forgets numbers, especially when they spell trouble for someone who's made a fatal mistake. Security footage later revealed Evelyn had the tow crew waiting 2 blocks away, a premeditated ambush to break me. Emerald Lake, the community's crown jewel, wasn't natural. It was a 1989 stormwater retention pond, 2.5 million gallons at a designed 12-foot depth. My firm had consulted on its drainage system, giving me access to every valve, regulator, and municipal override. City records showed the lake's depth at 19 feet 7 feet over spec. Someone, likely Evelyn, had been illegally boosting water levels for years, using 45% municipal feed and 55% underground springs. Her mansion's fountains, heated pool, and waterfall guzzled water through unauthorized pumps, spiking lakefront pressure by 260% and violating multiple codes. Evelyn's harassment intensified post-crusher, daily drive-bys, snapping photos of my property, and bogus city complaints about my suspicious surveying tools. She called an emergency HOA meeting to brand me a problem resident, aiming to force me out before I exposed her schemes. Over coffee with my neighbor, Henry Cole, a retired EPA water inspector, I uncovered Evelyn's true game. She'd bullied 10 families into selling below market value. Her shell company, Lakeshore Holdings LLC, snatching 3 lakefront properties at 20 to 35% discounts. Her endgame? Owning the entire lakefront for a private estate. Henry shared EPA reports he'd filed 2 years ago about Evelyn's water overuse, which vanished after her $60,000 donation to the mayor's campaign. My own lake survey confirmed the depth at 19.2 feet. With Evelyn's property draining 920 gallons daily, City Code 921.4 gave easement owners like me authority to enact emergency water protocols for system maintenance or hazards. Evelyn's next move was a structural condemnation threat, claiming my engineering work destabilized the neighborhood. She paid a corrupt inspector $18,000 for a fake report, giving me 30 days to fix violations or face a forced sale. Visiting the crusher yard, I saw my Ferrari's cube loaded onto a scrap truck. The mechanic sighed. Engine was still perfect. Such a shame. I snapped a photo, posting it on Instagram with the caption, "Evelyn Hart's vision of community pride." It went viral, racking up 500,000 likes. At 2 a.m., I measured lakefront water pressure and found Evelyn's illegal pumps had created an unstable closed-loop system. Reducing inlet flow by 12% would slash pressure by 75%, and Code 921.4 gave me legal cover. Evelyn escalated with a $3 million lawsuit for property devaluation and a restraining order to block my drainage access. She launched a media smear, pinning a local op-ed about new wealth-disrupting tradition. At a rigged HOA meeting, 22 of 45 residents voted to start my removal, with 15 intimidated into skipping. But she'd overplayed her hand. Henry's covert recording of Evelyn's strategy session with her ally, Clara Wade, was dynamite. Evelyn bragged, "Once we oust the engineer, the lakefront's mine." She admitted bribing the inspector and planning to pin future water issues on sabotage. This, paired with my 52-page report on her violations pressure readings, flow rates, and photos of illegal pumps, convinced City Inspector Daniel Chun to approve my emergency protocol. At 6 a.m., I adjusted the main inlet valve, cutting inflow by 20%. By noon, the lake dropped 0.9 feet to 18.3 feet, rendering docks unusable and silencing Evelyn's prized waterfall. Residents panicked, and Evelyn screamed "sabotage," her voice echoing across the lake. Property listings warned of a drought, and a video of her berating Chin went viral under Lakefront Tyrant, hitting 3 million views in 48 hours. Chin's inspection slapped Evelyn with $2,800 daily fines for her pumps. By day 3, the lake hit 16.8 feet, exposing mudflats and a rotting algae stench. Evelyn's $2.5 million gardens wilted, her koi suffocated, and her $200,000 dock sat stranded on cracked earth. My lawyer filed a $600,000 countersuit for easement violations, $1.5 million for environmental damage, $400,000 for my Ferrari, and punitive damages for harassment. Evelyn's team claimed I'd entrapped her, but we proved her violations predated my arrival. On day 5, I triggered full emergency drainage, redirecting 2.2 million gallons to municipal drains over 48 hours. The lake plummeted to 8.5 feet, its 1989 spec, exposing 250 yards of mud, debris, and Evelyn's $90,000 boat lift dangling over nothing. 3 lakefront listings vanished, assessments dropped 40%, and the HOA faced lawsuits from non-lakefront owners over plummeting values. Evelyn offered $600,000 to restore the lake and make me leave. I countered, offering my property for $12 million. Her attempt to illegally tap municipal water was caught by feds, tipped off by Henry's FBI complaint. She faced infrastructure tampering charges with terrorism enhancements. Henry rallied 29 homeowners to demand Evelyn's resignation, sparking a class action for her unauthorized HOA actions. Discovery exposed her shell company's fraudulent purchases and hidden structural issues in 2 lakefront mansions reliant on illegal water levels. Septic systems backed up, with $900,000 in repairs looming. CNN ran Engineer vs. HOA Tyrant, the $7 million lake war, while TikToks drained the Tyrant, hit 9 million views. The FBI raided Evelyn's mansion, seizing records of $2 million in fake insurance claims for neighbor-caused water damage since 2020. Arrested in her velvet robe, she faced mail fraud, wire fraud, conspiracy, and state insurance fraud. The HOA collapsed. Clara resigned, 3 board members quit, and Henry became interim president. A municipal report praised my actions for boosting lake health, with fish populations up 320%. The EPA lauded my conservation, and the city hired my firm for a $3 million water project. Evelyn's $7 million mansion defaulted, her assets frozen. Unable to post $600,000 bail, she languished in federal detention. My firm landed 15 contracts from the publicity. Insurance paid $450,000 for a new Ferrari 488, license plate H20_PWR. I donated $60,000 to a water conservation fund. Evelyn got 30 months in prison, $2.8 million in restitution, and her mansion sold for $4 million, 45% below value. She worked kitchen duty at Victorville for 25 cents an hour, sharing a cell with a disgraced HOA president from Tucson. Willow Grove rewrote HOA bylaws for transparency, renamed a lake Liberty Lake, and saw property values soar. Architectural Digest featured us in Engineering Luxury, and my patent for adaptive lake management saved 20 cities $200,000 annually. Evelyn's empire was dust, but my inbox overflowed with pleas from homeowners nationwide facing corrupt HOAs. Her final visit to Willow Grove ended with security escorting her out as I waved from my office her old mansion, now my firm's HQ. "This isn't over," she shouted. "It is, Evelyn," I replied via intercom. "Good luck." A new neighbor asked about parking rules. "Park where you want," I said. "We value freedom here." My Ferrari cube became an art piece, a tribute to tyranny's end. Did I ruin Evelyn? No, I exposed her. She built her empire on fraud and fear, and I redirected the flow to justice. Water, like truth, always finds its level. With calls from 25 states about rogue HOAs, I'm just getting started.